Hi, this is Mike with Tractor Mike Q&A. Had a question from one of my most loyal viewers, Dan, and he wanted to know about his wife actually asked this question. How many hours on a tractor is too many hours, basically, is what he asked, or she asked. And let's talk about that today. This is a topic that, being in the tractor business for 25 years, it's one I really kind of hesitated to answer because I'm sure there's going to be people that disagree with what I say here. But my experience in the tractor business, if you're buying a car, think about this. Some people would never own a car if they were buying a used car with over 30,000 miles on it or 50,000 miles on it. Some people like cheap, so they, 110,000 miles. Oh, I can still get another 80,000 miles out of it or whatever. So on a car, there's a lot of difference in opinion about how many miles is too many miles. And cars, all they do is drive up and down the road. They're generally not under load, and so there's the difference in a two cars with 30,000 miles on it is probably going to be pretty narrow. With tractors, there are vast differences in how they're used, and there are pretty vast differences in how they're maintained. So it's really hard to say when is a tractor worn out. And I'm just going to give you a few examples. First off, some of the older tractors, if you're buying a used tractor, some of the old tractors were way overbuilt and are going to be around long after all of us are gone. I remember when I was at the dealership, we traded for a John Deere. It was either a 4020 or a 4040 with 10,000 hours on it, and that's a lot of hours. And people looking at that tractor said, "Oh yeah, that'll last forever." 10,000 hours didn't seem like a lot to a lot of people on that particular model because it was a really heavily built tractor. And some of the old Fords and Masseys and Deeres and Cases and IHs were really well built tractors. So they're going to get a lot of hours out of one of them. Now they'll start costing a little bit on parts and repair bills the older they get, but they'll last forever. So I'm going to tell you about two tractors that I saw when I was working in a dealership, vastly different uses. They were both New Holland TCs, and I love the TC New Hollands. They were really well-built tractors with great longevity, good engines, and everything. One of those tractors was at a miniature golf course, and they put a big cover over it to make it look like a train. And at the golf course, they'd pick people up at one end and drive them to the other end, and they'd start playing the mini golf course. And this tractor did that in Branson, Missouri, in a tourist area, and it ran 24 hours, not 24 hours a day, but like I want to say 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, all through the tourist season. And they ran that thing every day. And they rebuilt the engine with 10,000 hours on it. And actually, it was not worn out, but they maintained it meticulously. They maintained it every day. So there's a tractor with 10,000 hours, still had life left in it. They were rebuilding the engine to try to get another 10,000 hours out of it, doing what it did. The other tractor I can tell you about was the same series of tractors, had 2,500 hours on it, and just wore out. And it was in a dairy barn. The guy didn't maintain it. He used it to bulldoze with and blade lots, and had actually broken it in two. He'd put the tractor in a bind somehow, had pushed too much with it or hit something with it, and it had oil leaking, and we traded for that and turned around and resold it. Somebody who wanted a fixer-upper, and boy, did they have a fixer-upper. So it is really hard to say how many hours is too many on a tractor. Me personally, if I'm buying a used tractor, I'm looking for one with under 2,000 hours on it, because I think I just would want to buy one tractor to last me the rest of my life, and something under 2,000 hours is probably going to do that. Under 3,000 hours is probably okay. To me, in my opinion, under normal usage, at 4,000 to 5,000 hours, you're going to start to have some things go wrong with your tractor, and you're going to have to start spending some money on it. So most of us that have small tractors will put probably under 100 hours a year on it, maybe 200 hours a year. And if you do the math on that, if you buy a tractor with 1,500 hours on it and you know it's going to need service at 4,000 hours, you put 100 hours a year on it, it's going to last you for probably the rest of your life. So there's big differences in how they're maintained. There's big differences in how they're used, and it's really hard to equate. A tractor with 5,000 hours has the equivalent to a car with 140,000 miles or anything like that. So it depends on usage and maintenance. So that's my best opinion about that. But if you're buying a used tractor and you can find one under 2,000 hours, generally you won't go wrong if it's had decent maintenance. Thanks for watching.